following is a fixed audio version of a previously uploaded video. I sincerely apologize for fumbling with my audio, and I hope to do better in the future. With that clarified, I give you my video. Literally while I was uploading my previous and long delayed list of 6 to youtube.com, Atlas's Instagram drops 2 trailers for upcoming Persona projects. At this point, I am 100% convinced of the theory that I put forth back in January. That because of things like COVID, all of Atlas's projects, especially those planned for the then upcoming anniversaries, had to be delayed. Persona 3 Reload now confirmed for early next year, despite P3RE Portable already being ported to Steam January of this year, and the reveal of one of the Persona 5 spin-offs as Persona 5 Tactica for November of this year, alongside the reveal of P5X in March, leaves no doubt in my mind of this possibility being the one at play. Free Persona games, free intended announcements for last year that never happened, and given their release windows, I also suspect that this means that most of the things intended for SMT's 30th will be announced and released next year instead at the earliest. Likely after Persona 3 Reload, so mid to late 2024 at the earliest. While it's certainly still too early to excuse any announcements period, especially because we've only had 2 events so far, I'd be very surprised if anything other than an announcement for a game next year makes it into this anniversary. Maybe the English release of a port to an older game already on the Nintendo Switch in Japan, but that's about as generous as I'm willing to place my bets on for anything game-related for SMT this year that's not Persona. Though, if I am being honest, that actually makes me more optimistic for whatever SMT does next, given that more time will mean more polish and less cut content, which is something that I feel was present in both SMT 5 and, to a lesser extent, Soul Hackers 2. As for how I feel about them, well, that's probably why you clicked on this video now, isn't it? For a long time now, there has been rampant rumor and speculation of a remake for Persona 3, likely originating from when Atlus polled the fans about which game they'd like to see remade, with Persona 2 and 3 tying for Most Wanted, and bought with by many with a Twitter leak that came in conjecture with already announced or unveiled projects that had supposedly been in co-development. I personally didn't believe them myself until the domain P3RE.jp was taken note of, and even then I was largely apathetic to the game, as Persona 3 is the part of the franchise that everyone else seems to love a lot more than I do. Everything certainly could have been worse for the first attempt at many of the series' staples, but the forced dating of all girls, no option for manual party member control, lack of social links for the Seas boys, and fickle quality of the links overall were detrimental to my experience when I first played Fez. While on one hand, Reload is the opportunity to fix my main issues with Fez and provide an idealized and polished experience, that's not always a good thing, since for all of my issues with P3, I can't deny that the game still had an edge to it that its successors lack in its experimental nature even when it fails. Previous Atlus re-releases tend to be either the definitive edition or not the best at carrying over the appeal of said game into the new content. Some parts of a trailer make me concerned that it could fall into the latter, as some of the menus feel a bit too close to Persona 5, when the minimalist ones of P3 perfectly conveyed the somber tone as is, rather than the bombastic courage of P5. The pause menu being the protagonist falling headfirst downward is genius, so the shops might just be a misstep that the rest of the game can make up for, but less so is the HD 3D Aegis introduction that replaces an animated cutscene in the original. In my opinion, P3 has the absolute best animated cutscenes in the whole franchise, delivered with Dutch angles, unconventional perspective shots, and surreal color schemes that feel right out of the work of Akiyuki Shinbo, whose art style seems to have been a heavy influence with the 2D visuals. To see one of those replaced makes me worried that the others would be replaced to be more consistent with the HD models, losing what helped make Persona 3 stand out as unique in the first place. All that and the presence of P3RE being released as little as a year earlier makes the game's core experience still feel divided between the canon male route, now in HD, and the added option to play as a girl in an otherwise scaled down version, which, if so, feels really scummy. Like Atlas is double dipping P3 just to make that little bit extra for less work. I'm not saying this is specifically the actual reason. It is possible that budgetary or time constraints are the reason for not having the FemC, which some might argue is premature to call given that this trailer doesn't confirm or deny that option, but P3P's 2023 release certainly makes it feel that way. That all said, this reveal, if anything, does open up the possibility of a Persona 2 reload, and optimistically more remakes of games more in need of one than P3 down the line. While I may not be the most excited for P3 Reload, Persona 5 Tactica is a game that I can actually say that I am looking forward to. Style-wise, the semi-chibi art style immediately differentiates it from everything else in the franchise while still maintaining Persona 5's immaculate presentation. An issue that I had with P5X when it was announced was that it looked too similar to Persona 5 proper, much like strikers before it, and this trailer at the very least not relying on the familiar gives me optimism that repetition will not be an issue with Persona 5 Tactica. A new core experience of the Persona 5 Foundation has been what I've wanted from these spin-offs, and they just haven't delivered. Dancing in Starlight was the other half of Dancing in Moonlight, and strikers went through the actions of Persona 5 verbatim. Tactica is the opportunity to finally buck that trend and showcase what a Persona 5 spin-off can really do. And with its simple art style making a Switch release extremely likely, at least more so when compared to P3 Reload, are the reasons why I can say I feel genuinely anticipation for this game rather than the cautious optimism that I feel for P5X and P3 Reload. Hey, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. My current June plans are to make up for lost time and upload the videos that I finished while I couldn't upload. My next list of 6 should be up on either Monday or Tuesday, and a video after that should be uploaded before the end of the week. On the off chance that another game is announced alongside these at Xbox Live, I will make a video about it. But what's more likely to happen is just that we're going to get more information about these releases, such as them possibly being on multi-platform. And so if there is not enough information to make a new video on, I will simply have some updated information in a pinned comment for this one. Happy Pride Month everybody, and I will see you next time.